The ancient Martian mines of Silesia weren't supposed to have secrets anymore. Not after 50 years of human excavation, cataloging, and exploitation. At least that's what Eliza Morgan had been told during her orientation 6 months ago. Just follow the protocols, monitor the automated systems, and don't go wandering, Supervisor Trent had warned with the tired expression of someone who'd given the same speech 100 times before. These tunnels go deeper than you think. Eliza adjusted her environmental suit's temperature as she studied the holographic map hovering above her wrist console. The anomalous readings had started 3 days ago, subtle fluctuations in the electromagnetic field that shouldn't exist this deep in the Martian crust. As the lead mining engineer for Quadrant 7, it was her responsibility to investigate. "Morgan, you're approaching the boundary zone." The voice of Marcus Reed, head of security for the mining operation, crackled through her comm. "Grid mapping ends in about 20 meters. "Understood," she replied, her breath slightly fogging her helmet. "The signal's getting stronger. Whatever it is, it's just beyond the mapped section. I'm 5 minutes behind you. Wait for backup." Eliza smiled to herself. In the 6 months she'd known Marcus, she'd come to respect his professionalism, even if his by-the-book approach sometimes clashed with her curiosity. She'd left Earth seeking something more than the sterile engineering positions available there. Mars, with its partially terraformed atmosphere and frontier mentality, had called to her. "Morgan? Confirm you're waiting." "Confirming," she said, knowing full well she had no intention of stopping. The signal pulsed on her scanner, stronger now. "Just adjusting my equipment." The tunnel ahead narrowed, changing from the smooth, machine-cut passages of the mining operation to something more deliberate. The walls displayed a geometric precision that seemed impossible for the automated mining systems. Her light swept across surfaces that gleamed with an iridescent quality, patterns etched into the stone that reminded her of circuit boards but with an organic, flowing quality. "What the hell?" she whispered, her scanner forgotten as she traced her gloved fingertips over the strange markings. They seemed to respond to her touch, glowing faintly with a blue-green luminescence. The passage ended at what appeared to be a sealed doorway, if a seamless section of wall with a spiraling pattern could be called a door. Eliza's scientific mind raced through possibilities. An undiscovered section of the mine? Some kind of natural formation? Or something deliberately constructed? "Morgan." Marcus's voice was closer now, echoing both through her comm and down the tunnel. What part of wait was unclear. She turned to see his tall figure approaching, environmental suit marked with the red and black security insignia of Genesis Industries. Even through his helmet, she could see his disapproval. "You need to see this, Reed," she said, gesturing toward the wall. "This isn't natural, and it definitely isn't ours." Marcus's posture shifted from annoyed to alert as he took in the glowing patterns. "We need to report this immediately. Protocol for unknown structures is clear." "Look at these readings," Eliza interrupted, showing him her scanner. "There's an energy signature behind this wall. Active energy, not residual." Marcus studied the readings, his security training battling with his curiosity. Finally, he sighed. "Corporate will want a full assessment before they send a research team from Earth. That'll take weeks. By which time whatever's generating this energy might be gone," Eliza finished, meeting his eyes through their visors. "I'm going to regret this," Marcus muttered, reaching for his equipment pack. He withdrew a compact scanning device more sophisticated than Eliza's engineering tools. "Stand back. I'm going to try to get a deeper read on what's behind there." The security scanner hummed to life, projecting a three-dimensional rendering of the space beyond the wall. Both of them gasped at what it revealed, a chamber roughly 20 meters across, with what appeared to be a central platform supporting some kind of pod or container. "Is that a stasis chamber?" Eliza asked, leaning closer to the holographic image. "Unknown," Marcus replied, his voice professional but unable to hide his amazement. "But whatever it is, it's the source of the energy signature." The wall before them suddenly illuminated, the spiral pattern glowing intensely. Before either could react, the seamless surface separated down the middle, sliding apart with a whisper of sound that shouldn't have been possible after countless years of disuse. Stale air rushed past them, and their suit sensors immediately began analyzing the chamber's atmosphere. Eliza's heart pounded as her light pierced the darkness beyond, revealing a space that defied everything she thought she knew about Mars's history. The chamber was circular, its walls covered in the same circuit-like patterns that now pulsed with steady blue light. The ceiling arched overhead, creating a dome that seemed to capture and amplify the light. But it was the center of the room that drew their attention. There, on a raised platform, stood what could only be described as a crystal sarcophagus. Its transparent surface revealed the outline of a humanoid figure within. "Morgan, we need to call this in now," Marcus said, his voice tight with tension. Eliza moved forward as if in a trance, her scientific mind cataloging details even as a more primal part of her brain screamed that what she was seeing should be impossible. The figure within the crystal pod was tall and slender, with proportions similar to a human but distinctly alien. Its skin had a pearlescent quality that shifted colors as the light played across it, and where a human would have hair, this being had what appeared to be tendrils that resembled fiber optic filaments. "It's preserved," she whispered, reaching the edge of the platform. "Some kind of suspended animation technology. Read, this changes everything we know about Mars." Marcus approached more cautiously, his scanner continuously feeding data back to his suit's computer. "The pod is maintaining stable life functions. Whatever's in there, it's alive." Eliza's gloved hand hovered over the crystal surface, transfixed by the alien beauty contained within. The being appeared female in form, though Eliza knew projecting human gender concepts onto an alien species was presumptuous. Still, there was an undeniable elegance to the creature's features: high cheekbones, a delicate nose, and large, almond-shaped eyes currently closed in what appeared to be sleep. "Don't touch anything," Marcus warned, but it was too late. Eliza's fingers brushed the crystal surface, and the chamber erupted with light. The patterns on the walls pulsed rapidly, and the pod began to hum with increasing intensity. Inside, the alien's eyes snapped open, solid, luminous orbs of silver that seemed to capture the light and reflect it back as something more. Those eyes found Eliza's, and in that moment, something passed between them, not words, but impressions, emotions, fragments of thought. "Trapped, so long, darkness, help, danger." Eliza staggered back, overwhelmed by the alien presence that had somehow touched her mind. "She's conscious," she gasped, clutching her helmet. "She communicated with me." Marcus steadied her with one hand while keeping his scanner pointed at the pod with the other. "What did it say?" "Not say, felt. She's been trapped for a very long time. She's afraid." Eliza straightened, looking back at the pod. The alien's eyes had closed again, but the pod systems continued to pulse with renewed activity. "We need to help her. We need to secure this site and report to headquarters," Marcus countered. "Whatever this is, it's way beyond our pay grade." Eliza knew he was right, but something about the alien's silent plea had reached her on a level deeper than logic. "Fine, we'll call it in. But I'm staying with her until the research team arrives." Marcus studied her for a moment, then nodded reluctantly. "I'll set up a security perimeter and contact base. But Morgan, what we found here, this is going to change everything." As Marcus stepped away to make his report, Eliza turned back to the alien in the crystal pod. "For thousands of years, humanity had wondered if we were alone in the universe. Ancient astronaut theories had been dismissed as pseudoscience, legends of gods from the stars written off as primitive attempts to explain the unexplainable. Yet here, buried deep in the Martian crust, lay proof that Earth had not been the only cradle of intelligent life in our solar system. And somehow, across the vast gulf of species and time, this being had reached out to her. "I hear you," Eliza whispered, placing her hand once more on the crystal surface. "And I promise, we'll find a way to help you." Inside the pod, the alien remained still, but Eliza could have sworn she saw the faintest smile touch those otherworldly lips. Whatever happened next, the universe had just become a much more wondrous and complex place than anyone had imagined. The research facility that Genesis Industries had hastily established around the alien chamber hummed with activity. 3 weeks had passed since Eliza and Marcus's discovery, and the initial excitement had given way to methodical scientific inquiry under the watchful eye of Dr. James Kavita, the corporation's leading xenobiologist. Eliza stood at the observation window, watching as Dr. Kavita and his team conducted another series of non-invasive scans on the crystal pod. The alien within, whom the research team had unofficially named Nova due to the starlight quality of her skin, remained in a state of suspended animation, though her vital signs had strengthened considerably since the initial contact. "You should get some rest," Marcus said, appearing beside her with 2 steaming cups of synthetic coffee. "You've been here for 16 hours straight." Eliza accepted the cup gratefully. "I can't sleep anyway. The dreams are getting more intense." Marcus's expression shifted to concern. Ever since their discovery, Eliza had experienced vivid dreams, dreams in which she communicated with Nova through abstract imagery and fragmented thoughts. At first, she dismissed them as her subconscious processing the monumental discovery, but their consistency and the information they contained had become impossible to ignore. "Dr. Kavita wants you to undergo another neural scan," Marcus said quietly. "The corporate execs are getting nervous about these connections you're reporting." "They're real, Marcus." Eliza turned to face him fully. "Last night, she showed me symbols, the same ones we found in the eastern section of the chamber yesterday. How could I know those in advance?" Before Marcus could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. Both of them turned to see frantic activity around the pod as monitors flashed warning signals. "What's happening?" Eliza demanded, pressing the communication button. Dr. Kavita's accented voice came through the speaker. "The pod's energy signature is spiking. We're seeing increased neural activity in the subject." Through the window, Eliza could see Nova's eyes moving rapidly beneath closed lids, while the crystal pod pulsed with waves of blue-green light. The circuit-like patterns on the chamber walls responded in kind, creating a symphony of light that seemed to follow some complex algorithm. "She's dreaming," Eliza whispered, pressing her palm against the glass. The moment her skin made contact, a jolt of electricity seemed to pass through her. The research facility disappeared, replaced by a kaleidoscope of stars and swirling nebulae. Within this cosmic vista stood Nova, no longer confined to her pod but standing tall and radiant, her fiber-optic hair flowing around her like a living aurora. "Eliza Morgan. You hear me now?" "Clearly." The words didn't come as sound but as pure concepts materializing directly in Eliza's mind. She tried to respond, forming her thoughts deliberately. "Yes. I hear you. Who are you?" Nova's luminous eyes studied her with ancient intelligence. "My people are called Luminari. We were explorers. Seekers of knowledge. Why are you here? On Mars?" A wave of sadness emanated from the alien being. "Expedition. Ship damaged. Emergency landing. 5 crew. I was injured. Others placed me in healing stasis while they sought materials for repairs." Impressions flashed through Eliza's mind, a sleek vessel crashing through the thin Martian atmosphere, desperate attempts at repairs, a decision to place their wounded comrade in stasis while the others ventured out into the hostile landscape. They never returned, Eliza realized with a pang of empathy. Time passed. Long time. Your kind came to Red Planet. Mining. Digging. Found me. How long were you in stasis? Eliza asked, though she feared the answer. Nova's response came as a series of astronomical alignments, planetary positions shifting over vast periods of time. The meaning was clear: tens of thousands of years had passed while she slept in her crystal prison. Your kind. Not so different from mine. Luminari visited Earth once. Long ago. We were remembered in your myths. Before Eliza could process this revelation, the stars cape around them shuddered. Nova's form flickered like a faltering transmission. Connection difficult to maintain. Still weak. Must conserve energy. Wait. Eliza reached out mentally. How can I help you? Nova's ethereal hand extended toward Eliza's, not quite touching. I will reach for you in dreams. Safer that way. Your scientists, some can be trusted. Others. A flash of warning, images of Luminari technology being weaponized, of Nova herself being dissected in the name of scientific advancement. I won't let that happen, Eliza promised fiercely. I'll protect you. Nova's expression softened. I know. That is why I called to you. Your mind, receptive. Open. Trust Marcus Reed also. Honorable heart. The connection began to fade, the cosmic vista dissolving around them. As Nova's form grew transparent, one final thought reached Eliza. Danger comes. Be vigilant. Morgan. Morgan, can you hear me? Eliza gasped, returning to awareness with a violent jerk. She was on the floor of the observation room, Marcus cradling her head while Dr. Kavita held a medical scanner over her. She's back, Dr. Kavita announced, relief evident in his voice. Vital signs stabilizing. What happened? Eliza asked, her voice hoarse. You collapsed, Marcus explained, helping her to a sitting position. The moment you touched the glass, your eyes rolled back and you went down. You've been unresponsive for almost 3 minutes. Dr. Kavita studied his scanner with intense fascination. Your neural activity was off the charts, synchronizing with the alien's brainwave patterns. It's remarkable. Eliza struggled to her feet, waving off further assistance. I spoke with her. Full communication this time, not just impressions. The scientist's eyes widened. You established direct telepathic contact? What did she, communicate? Eliza carefully considered how much to reveal. Nova's warning about trust echoed in her mind. Her name isn't Nova, that's just what we've been calling her. Her species are called the Luminari. They're explorers who crashed on Mars thousands of years ago. Luminari, Dr. Kavita repeated, typing notes into his tablet. And the others of her kind? There were 5 total. She was injured in the crash. The others put her in stasis while they searched for materials to repair their ship. Eliza swallowed hard. They never came back. Marcus's expression darkened. So she's been in that pod for millennia, Eliza finished. Long enough that she witnessed the rise of human civilization from afar. Dr. Kavita could barely contain his excitement. This is extraordinary. A sentient alien species with apparent telepathic abilities, preserved in functional stasis technology for thousands of years. The implications for science, for medicine, for understanding our own solar system's history. She's not a lab specimen, Eliza interrupted sharply. She's a person. A stranded explorer who needs our help. The doctor had the grace to look chastened. Of course. I meant no disrespect. But you must understand the significance. A new voice joined the conversation. The significance cannot be overstated, which is why Genesis Corporation is implementing enhanced security protocols effective immediately. They turned to see Diana Frost, Genesis Industries regional director, entering the room flanked by 2 security officers who weren't part of Marcus's team. Her crisp business suit and perfectly styled hair seemed out of place in the makeshift research facility. "Director Frost," Dr. Kavita acknowledged with a slight bow. "We weren't expecting you for another 2 days. Plans change when one of our engineers starts claiming telepathic communication with an alien life form," Frost replied coldly, her gaze fixing on Eliza. "Ms. Morgan, you'll be transferred to our medical facility in Olympus City for a full psychiatric and physical evaluation." Eliza stiffened. "That won't be necessary. I'm perfectly fine." "That's not your decision to make." Frost turned to her security detail. "Escort Ms. Morgan to the transport." Marcus stepped between them. "With all due respect, Director, Eliza is key to this research now. If she's established communication with the alien, that's a rather extraordinary claim with minimal evidence beyond some synchronized brainwave activity that could be explained by numerous phenomena," Frost cut in. "We need to determine if Ms. Morgan is experiencing hallucinations or some form of psychosomatic response to the discovery." Dr. Kavita cleared his throat. "Actually, Director, I believe Ms. Morgan's account. The alien, the Luminari, exhibited increased neural activity that directly corresponded with Ms. Morgan's. And the symbols she described from her previous dreams materialized in our excavation before she could have seen them." Frost's perfectly manicured eyebrow arched. "Are you suggesting, Doctor, that a corporate mining engineer with no background in xenobiology has somehow become the chosen ambassador for first contact with an alien species?" Eliza met the director's skeptical gaze. "I don't know why she connected with me specifically. But it's happening, and if you ship me off to Olympus City, you'll lose your only communication channel with an intelligence that could revolutionize our understanding of the universe." A tense silence filled the room. Eliza could almost see the calculations running behind Frost's cold eyes: corporate interests, scientific potential, personal advancement, risk management. "Very well," Frost finally said. "You'll remain on the project, but under supervision. Your neural patterns will be monitored continuously, and all communications with the alien will be documented and verified when possible." She turned to Marcus. "Captain Reed, you're responsible for Ms. Morgan's compliance." After Frost and her security detail departed, Dr. Kavita released a long breath. "That woman terrifies me." "She should," Marcus said grimly. Diana Frost didn't get to be regional director by prioritizing scientific discovery over profit margins. Eliza gazed back through the observation window at Nova's still form in the crystal pod. "She doesn't understand what we're dealing with. The Luminari are, incredibly advanced. Nova implied they visited Earth in ancient times." "Ancient astronaut theory?" Dr. Kavita looked simultaneously skeptical and intrigued. "I don't know the details yet. But I intend to find out." Eliza pressed her hand against the glass again, though this time no connection formed. "Nova said she'd reach out through dreams. It's safer that way." "Then you should rest," Marcus insisted. "I'll take you to your quarters and stand guard myself." As they left the research area, Eliza felt a subtle vibration from the alien chamber behind them, like a farewell. Despite Director Frost's interference, despite the corporate machinery now fully engaged around their discovery, Eliza felt a surge of hope. For the first time in thousands of years, Nova was no longer alone in her crystal prison. And somehow, across the gulf of species and time, they had found each other. That night, as Eliza drifted to sleep under Marcus's vigilant protection, the stars of her dreams rearranged themselves into pathways of knowledge, waiting to be explored. And among them, radiant and patient, Nova waited to continue their conversation, a conversation that would change the course of human history forever. The crystal pod hummed with increasing intensity as Nova's vital signs strengthened day by day. After 6 weeks of observation and Eliza's continued dream communications, the moment everyone had been anticipating finally arrived. Alarms blared throughout the facility as the pod's surface began to shimmer and dissolve. Dr. Kavita and his team rushed to establish a containment field while Director Frost watched from behind reinforced glass, her expression calculating. "It's happening," Eliza whispered to Marcus as they stood at the edge of the chamber. "She's waking up." The crystal enclosure melted away like morning frost under sunlight, leaving Nova lying on the platform, her pearlescent skin pulsing with internal light. For a moment, the chamber fell silent as human and Luminari regarded each other directly for the first time in millennia. Nova's luminous silver eyes opened, scanning the room before settling on Eliza. She sat up with fluid grace, her fiber-optic hair flowing around her shoulders. When she spoke, her voice was melodic but halting, clearly unused for eons. "Eliza Morgan. Friend in dreams. Now friend in waking world." Director Frost pushed forward. "I am Diana Frost, representing Genesis Industries and, by extension, human interests. We have questions about." Nova raised a slender hand, silencing the director with nothing more than the gentle authority of the gesture. "First, gratitude." She turned to Eliza and Marcus. "You found me. Awakened me. After so long in darkness." Dr. Kavita approached cautiously. "Your stasis technology is remarkable. Our scans suggest you haven't aged at all during your containment. Time flows differently for Luminari," Nova explained, rising to her full height, nearly 7 feet tall. "My body healed while my mind traveled among the stars." She swayed slightly, and Eliza rushed forward to steady her. The moment their skin made contact, a visible current of energy passed between them. Nova's eyes widened in surprise, and every electronic device in the chamber flickered. "Your species, compatible," Nova said with wonder. "Energy patterns, harmonize." Over the following days, Nova demonstrated remarkable abilities that left the research team in awe. She could manipulate energy fields with her touch, interfacing with technology in ways that defied conventional understanding. More impressively, she could heal through physical contact, demonstrated when she repaired Marcus's old shoulder injury with a simple touch. "The pain is completely gone," he marveled, rotating his arm freely for the first time in years. "How is that possible?" "All matter is energy," Nova explained. "Luminari see the patterns. Correct disruptions." Director Frost observed these demonstrations with increasing interest, making frequent calls to Genesis headquarters on Earth. Eliza noticed more corporate security personnel arriving daily, gradually replacing Marcus's trusted team. "They're planning something," Eliza confided to Marcus and Dr. Kavita in the privacy of her quarters. "Frost doesn't see Nova as a being with rights. She sees a technology to exploit." Dr. Kavita nodded grimly. "I've been ordered to focus my research on Nova's healing abilities and energy manipulation. They're particularly interested in how she interfaces with our technology." She mentioned her ship contained propulsion systems that could cross interstellar space, Marcus added. "Genesis would kill for that technology." "That's what I'm afraid of," Eliza responded, lowering her voice further. "Nova's been telling me about artifacts from her ship, things her companions salvaged before they disappeared. If they're still intact somewhere on Mars." A knock interrupted their conversation. When Marcus opened the door, they found Nova standing there, her luminous presence filling the small room. Without preamble, she spoke urgently. "They have found pieces of my vessel. Hidden them from you. From me." Her silver eyes fixed on Eliza. "I must access them. My companions. I could locate them if." "How do you know this?" Marcus asked, security training taking over. "Their minds are transparent to me now. The woman Frost. The new guards." Nova's expression became troubled. "They dissect my technology. Dangerous without understanding." Dr. Kavita paled. "If they're experimenting with alien technology without proper protocols." A proximity alarm cut him off. Nova's head tilted, her fiber-optic hair illuminating with warning colors. They come. With restraints. To isolate me. Marcus moved to the door. We need to get Nova out of here. Now. Where would we go? Eliza asked. We're on Mars, in a corporate facility. Nova placed her hand on the wall, closing her eyes in concentration. The lights flickered as she connected with the facility's systems. There are tunnels. Old mining passages. Connected to where my pod was found. Her eyes opened, now glowing with fierce determination. I will show you the way. As they slipped from Eliza's quarters, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. Containment breach in progress, announced the automated system. All personnel implement Security Protocol Theta 9. They're tracking Nova's energy signature, Dr. Kavita explained as they hurried through service corridors. We need to mask it somehow. Nova placed her hand on a junction box, the circuits within sparking visibly through the metal casing. Diversion created. Throughout the facility, systems began to malfunction simultaneously, doors opening and closing at random, environmental controls fluctuating, communications cutting out. This way, Nova urged, leading them toward the original excavation site. As they reached the ancient chamber where Nova's pod had been found, they encountered a Genesis security team. Before anyone could react, Nova stepped forward, extending both hands. A pulse of energy radiated outward, and the security personnel collapsed to the floor. They sleep only, she assured the horrified humans. No harm done. Marcus collected the guards' weapons. They'll wake up soon enough. We need to move. Nova approached the far wall of the chamber, tracing the circuit-like patterns with her fingertips. The wall shimmered and parted, revealing a hidden passage. My companions created many such paths. For safety. As they entered the passage, the sound of pursuit growing behind them, Dr. Kavita pulled Eliza aside. I've been monitoring Director Frost's communications, he whispered. They found a cache of Luminari artifacts 2 weeks ago. They've been studying them in secret. What kind of artifacts? Eliza asked. Energy cells. Navigation devices. And something they're calling the Seed, apparently some form of terraforming technology that could transform Mars's atmosphere in days rather than centuries. Nova paused ahead of them, her body suddenly rigid. The Seed was not meant for Mars, she said, her voice carrying a note of alarm Eliza hadn't heard before. It was calibrated for a different world. Using it here without adjustments would be catastrophic. Deeper into the tunnels they went, Nova growing more animated as they progressed. I feel echoes, she explained. Resonances of my kind. We are approaching something important. The tunnel opened into a vast underground cavern that took their breath away. Enormous crystal formations jutted from the walls and ceiling, similar in composition to Nova's stasis pod but on a much grander scale. At the center stood what could only be described as an altar, a platform surrounded by the now familiar circuit patterns. A sanctuary, Nova breathed, approaching the central platform. My companions built this before they were lost. As Nova placed her hands on the platform, the entire cavern illuminated with pulsing light. The crystal formations resonated in harmony, creating a symphony of light and sound that made the humans cover their ears. I remember now, Nova said, her voice echoing strangely. They did not abandon me. They were taken. Captured. By whom? Marcus demanded, hands still over his ears. Others who came to Mars. Long before humans. Collectors of technology and knowledge. Nova's expression darkened. My companions were valuable specimens. The sound of pursuit grew louder. Director Frost's security team had found their trail. Marcus took up a defensive position at the tunnel entrance while Dr. Kavita examined the crystal formations with scientific wonder. "Nova," Eliza said urgently, "what do we do now? Frost won't stop until she has you and your technology." Nova turned to face her, silver eyes now blazing with renewed purpose. "Now I show you why the Luminari were both revered and feared by the ancient civilizations of Earth." She raised her hands toward the crystal-studded ceiling. "Now I awaken." The cavern trembled as energy cascaded between the crystal formations, converging on Nova's slender form. Her pearlescent skin became translucent, revealing a network of light beneath that pulsed in complex patterns. Her fiber-optic hair floated upward as if underwater, each strand now radiating intense light. "What's happening to her?" Dr. Kavita gasped. Eliza understood instinctively. "She's not just awakening from stasis," she whispered in awe. "She's awakening to her full power." Nova turned to them, her transformation complete. Where before stood a beautiful but obviously alien being, now hovered a creature of almost pure energy, merely maintaining a humanoid form as a courtesy to her human allies. "Now," Nova said, her voice resonating from everywhere at once, "we will reclaim what was taken, and prevent your kind from repeating ancient mistakes." The device in Director Frost's hand pulsed with luminary energy, creating a containment field that suppressed Nova's radiant form. As Nova flickered and destabilized, Frost revealed her true intentions with cold precision. "This being's technology will revolutionize energy production, medicine, space travel, all under Genesis Industries patents," she declared while her security team restrained Eliza and Marcus. Nova's voice echoed weakly through the chamber, "This technology. Not meant for your kind, not yet. The seed especially, dangerous." In the ensuing chaos as the cavern trembled and crystal formations crashed down, Marcus created an opening for Eliza to escape. "Run," he shouted, tossing her a communication device. "Find the artifacts." Nova's voice reverberated through Eliza's mind, "I cannot maintain form much longer. The seed must be protected." Guided by Nova's mental impressions, Eliza navigated deeper into the Martian tunnels until she discovered a manufactured chamber with a spherical object at its center, the seed. Its surface shifted with colors like Nova's skin, intricate patterns flowing across it like liquid circuitry. Dr. Kavita contacted her through the communication device. "Frost has Nova contained in some kind of energy prison. They're bringing in a specialized team to transport her to a secure facility." He confessed to working with Genesis under duress. They had threatened his family on Earth. Their conversation was interrupted when a Genesis security officer appeared in the chamber, weapon trained on Eliza. "Step away from the artifacts," he ordered. Instead, Eliza placed her hand on the seed's surface. Energy coursed through her as the seed recognized her connection to Nova. Information flooded her mind. The seed wasn't merely a terraforming device but a repository of luminary consciousness. When her vision cleared, the guard lay unconscious and Eliza found herself transformed, hovering above the floor with a faint aura resembling Nova's energy signature. With newfound abilities and several key artifacts, she made her way back through the facility as evacuation alarms blared due to increasing seismic activity. In the transport bay, Eliza found Nova contained in a portable energy field, her magnificent form compressed and dimmed. Using a counter-resonance device she'd recovered, Eliza disrupted the containment field. The resulting energy discharge triggered violent tremors as a fissure opened across the bay. Nova, partially restored but weakened, helped free Marcus and Dr. Kavita. As the facility collapsed around them, Nova used her remaining strength to phase-shift the group, allowing them to escape through solid matter up the central shaft to the surface. The effort proved too much for Nova, who collapsed upon reaching safety. As her form faded, she whispered to Eliza, "Not ending, transformation." She dissolved into a small crystal that pulsed with her energy signature. "She's not dead," Eliza explained to the others. "She's transformed herself into a crystalline matrix, similar to how the seed stored luminary consciousness." As Genesis evacuation shuttles departed in the distance, the three humans began their journey across the Martian landscape, carrying the last known luminary in crystalline form, and with her, the hope for understanding between species separated by eons of time and the vast gulf of space. Fleeing across the Martian surface, Eliza, Marcus, and Dr. Kavita evaded Genesis search teams while Marcus's condition worsened, the energy weapons burned spreading through his body like a corruption. Clutching Nova's crystal, Eliza felt their connection growing fainter but still present. Chamber, sanctuary, restoration possible, came Nova's faint response to Eliza's mental plea for help. A mysterious dust storm, seemingly generated by Nova's influence, provided cover as they located an entrance to the ancient luminary tunnel network. Following Eliza's intuition, enhanced by her transformation, they reached the sanctuary chamber with its star map ceiling. Placing Nova's crystal on the central pedestal, Eliza activated the chamber's restoration protocols by interfacing directly with the ancient system, her hybrid physiology providing authentication. Energy flowed through the chamber as Nova's form reconstituted within a translucent sphere. Fully restored and radiant, Nova immediately healed Marcus's wound. Genesis has perverted my people's technology, she explained. Created weapons that corrupt life energy itself. Nova revealed more about her past, how her companions had been taken by an ancient, mysterious race after their crash on Mars. Now, a more immediate threat loomed as Genesis had recovered fragments of luminary technology, including the seed. The seed cannot be activated without luminary authorization, Nova assured them. But given enough time, Genesis might find ways to weaponize components of it. When Dr. Kavita mentioned that Genesis had likely transported salvaged artifacts to their orbital research station, Nova revealed a solution. My companions established multiple outposts before they were captured. One housed our emergency vessel, capable of reaching orbit. As they planned their next move, Nova's reactivated systems detected Genesis forces returning to excavate the collapsed facility. They're digging directly toward the chamber where the seed was housed, she warned. With only hours before Genesis reached the seed, Nova identified an ancient luminary transportation tube that could get them there in time. Their mission became clear, they needed to prevent Genesis from recovering the seed intact. The seed contains more than technology, Nova explained. It holds the essential patterns of my people. In the right circumstances, it could restore the luminary to Mars. In the wrong hands, it becomes the ultimate weapon. They arrived near the excavation site to find Genesis had accelerated their timeline. Nova proposed activating the seed's self-preservation protocols, which would render it inert but cause a significant energy discharge. I'll need to be within 100 meters and maintain focus for 3 minutes, she explained. As they prepared their desperate plan, Marcus providing tactical support, Dr. Kavita creating a distraction with his Genesis credentials, and Eliza protecting Nova with her new abilities, they felt tremors from the excavation growing closer to the seed. Time had run out. Putting their plan into action, they infiltrated the perimeter while Dr. Kavita approached the security checkpoint, claiming to have critical information about the alien technology. As Genesis forces mobilized in response to Dr. Kavita's distraction, Eliza and Nova reached the edge of the excavation. Nova began the protocol activation while Eliza used her hybrid abilities to shield them from detection. When Genesis security inevitably spotted them, Marcus engaged the first responders, buying precious seconds. The countdown continued as Nova's energy signature intensified, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Director Frost herself appeared at the excavation edge, weapon drawn. "Stop this now," she demanded. "Do you realize what you're throwing away? Power to reshape worlds. Some power isn't meant for those who see only weapons and profit," Eliza replied, maintaining the energy shield around Nova. The protocol completed just as Genesis forces converged. A pulse of pure energy erupted from deep within the excavation site, temporarily blinding everyone. When vision returned, the seed's physical form had been rendered inert, a hollow shell of its former self. In the confusion, they escaped to the Luminari emergency vessel, a sleek craft that responded to Nova's presence after thousands of years of dormancy. As they broke free of Mars's gravity well, Nova interfaced with Genesis's communication array, broadcasting a message that bypassed all security protocols and appeared on every screen in their network. The technology you seek to weaponize was created by a civilization that learned the cost of using knowledge without wisdom. We will not allow our legacy to become your destruction. The message continued with data exposing Genesis's illegal weapons development and unethical experimentation, transmitting simultaneously to Earth's regulatory authorities. As they approached the orbital station where the remaining Luminari artifacts were held, Genesis forces scrambled but found their systems compromised by Nova's influence. The station's directors, faced with the exposed violations and incoming regulatory investigation, ordered evacuation rather than confrontation. Inside the station, Nova located the scattered fragments of Luminari technology that Genesis had collected. With Eliza's help, she began a healing process, not just for the damaged artifacts, but for the very fabric of reality that Genesis's experiments had begun to destabilize. What happens now? Marcus asked as Nova completed her work. Now I send a message, Nova replied, activating a long-dormant beacon using the station's amplified transmission capabilities. To let my people know that Earth's children have reached the stars and might, with guidance, be ready to join the community of spacefaring civilizations. Are there others like you still out there? Dr. Kavita asked. Nova's silver eyes reflected starlight as she gazed toward distant constellations. The universe is vast, but not empty. The Luminari seeded many worlds with the potential for life. Some may have grown to reach for the stars, as humanity has. As the beacon activated, Eliza felt a resonance through her transformed physiology, a connection to something vast and ancient yet vibrantly alive. They're answering, she whispered in awe. Nova nodded, her expression both joyful and grave. Now the real work begins, preparing humanity for what comes next. As Mars rotated below them, its rusty surface concealing thousands of years of history waiting to be discovered, Eliza realized their adventure hadn't ended, it had only just begun. With Nova as their guide and the stars as their destination, the boundaries between human and Luminari, past and future, would continue to dissolve into something new and wonderful. The echoes from the depths had finally reached the stars.